And I said, I can't. And he goes, sure you can. Let me show you. Even though, I don't think he really cares. That was a long time ago. Even though they're not supposed to teach. And he goes, I want to show you something different. So let's say this is a taxiway, not a runway, but he goes, let me show you. So we just came in real super slow like this. And he showed me how you could just come in and go. So we're going out to do a flight review for me. Hunter Gamble, our newest CFI, longtime Hogs member, got all of his ratings and has been helping us now for what, several months?
Yep, we're coming up on almost 3 months now.
3 months he's been helping. He's up past his 300-hour mark, so he's well on his way to a career. And I had my last flight review was just over 2 years ago. And as of today, and we're going to tell you more about this in a different video, but I just got my medical today. And it's a long story, but a little over a year ago, I went to the hospital one night over a blood pressure and heart rate problem. And so I spent 14 months making lifestyle changes and getting a bunch of tests, and I am now reinstated. I have been flying. Luckily, through Hunter and Hauser helping us out, I've been able to remain current, go out and fly with CFIs. I could even train rated pilots. I just couldn't take the helicopter out by myself without a medical. So kind of a celebration. We thought Hunter come up to help fly today, and I go, heck, you know what? I need a flight review, so let's go do a legitimate flight review. And Hunter's just going to tell me what he wants me to do. So we'll get back to our checklist here. Alternator switch on, oil pressure's up, avionics are on. Wait for clutch light out, it is.
Circuit breakers are in.
Circuit breakers in. Warm up 60 to 70%. Now we're waiting for the engines gauges to come in the green. One's in the green and the other two are about to come into the green. So Hunter, just when we get ready to go here, as soon as I get through the checklist, you're the CFI in charge, so just direct me what you'd like me to do, and we can go out and do whatever you want. Hovering, all the maneuvers, confined areas, sung of power, autos, whatever you want to do. You direct me, so at the end of an hour, you can give me a little ground, because we need an hour minimum flight and an hour minimum ground, and then you can put a fresh flight review in my logbook.
Sounds like a plan.
Never thought you'd be doing that, did you?
No, I did not.
I'll be legal. I'll be legal. Once we get done and get everything signed in the logbook, I'll be legal for the first time in a while.
It's an exciting day.
It is. And by the way, as we're finishing warm up here, I never got my medical pulled. I grounded myself the minute I went to the hospital due to heart rate and blood pressure. I knew I was grounded, right? When your health significantly changes, you have to ground yourself. So of course, after visiting the doctors, they're like, well, we got to figure out what's going on with you and go through a bunch of tests. And while I was going through all that, my medical expired. But we knew we had to get all the testing done, because you have to submit then to the FAA. Hey, here's how you're doing now. Here's the test. Here's how everything came out. So it's a process. So I never got denied. I didn't lose it. I just grounded myself. And then while I'm going through all the testing, it expired, and I had to wait until all the tests were done so I could go in and the AME could give me a physical and submit all the paperwork of all the treatment that I got after my trip to the hospital. So your medical is a privilege, and I'm going to talk more about that. For 25 years, I could take a helicopter and go where I wanted, anytime I wanted, and do what I wanted. And when all of a sudden you can't do that anymore, you realize what a privilege that medical is. And again, we're going to do a video on it, because I learned a lot. And hopefully I can.
Skydiver, Michigan City, 2 minutes. Skydiver, Michigan City, Indiana, 1000 and below Michigan City.
Hopefully I can save you some head and heartache if you struggling with a medical or getting ready to get a medical. I got some tips for that as well. And some of my own tips that I should have followed that could have made that go a little bit easier, my own fault for not following my own advice. Okay, so now everything's in the green, so now I got to find my place on the checklist again.
Circuit breakers are in the green.
All right, so we're going to go up to 75 and do a mag check, 75%. All right, there's 75%. Left mag. Oh, nice, slight drop. Let it stabilize, go back to the other mag. Small drop, back to both. Carpete. Hunter's, I just took my hand off, but Hunter's,
Yep, I'm guarding it.
he's guarding the collective, so.
Yep, and then we see the rise in the needle.
Okay, so we'll push that back down. We can readjust where we pick up. Sprag clutch check. I'm gonna roll it up just a little bit higher. Roll off, add right pedal, needle split, yep. So now we got doors. Those 3 doors are latched. We just took this door off. All the pins, everything's put away, so no danger there. No loose item in the cockpit to fly out, because we like to keep the cockpit clean. Nothing laying out, nothing that can blow out the window. All right, limit MAP, 24 degrees Celsius. Okay, so I need to check my...
Warsaw traffic, Grumman 9961, a uniform 15 to the north and over 5 the field, and enter your left downwind 27, Warsaw traffic.
Check the hydraulic system and check for our low RPM horn and light. And then we are ready to go. So I'm gonna put the checklist away. I say that actually shows doing it. Okay, doing the hydraulic before you roll up.
Yep.
All right, so I put that away. Hydraulic is on. So first thing I'm gonna do, reach forward, release the cyclic, then reach my hand back and unlock the collective. Hand back to the throttle. And I'm gonna turn it off. Actually, while it's on, we'll make sure, little X pattern, it moves, good, yep. Hydraulic off, it's gonna be stiff. We'll make sure it moves, even though it's stiff. Hydraulic back on, we'll make sure it's back working again. All right, so there's that. So now we're gonna roll up to 100%, check our horn. Wait for the clutch light to go out.
Clutch lights out.
I'm gonna raise collective and roll off throttle, wait for the horn. There's the horn, down collective. Let the governor take it back up to 100%, and we're ready to go. So clear on the right.
Clear on the left.
On the left.
Forward and above.
And we're gonna take our time here. Nice and slow, because I gotta try to impress my instructor. Looking outside, 50 to 75 feet. Checking back inside, manifold pressure starting to get light. But I'm gonna continue to just keep gently raising that collective and feel what the nose is gonna do. It's going to the right, so I'll push the little right pedal. A little more up collective, we're about 19 inches. I know we're gonna come up pretty quick. I think we're ready, so that was step number 1. Step number 2, just gently lift it up.
Ooh, smooth.
I like it. All right, we'll get away from the hangar.
Michigan City traffic.
Clear on the left. All right, Hunter, what do you want me to do, buddy?
So we'll do a nice, normal, like just hover taxi. Which
Okay.
we know is 3 to 5 feet, and a nice brisk walk.
Okay.
We'll just do a hover taxi over the runway, and then we'll start out with a normal takeoff and a normal departure. We always talk about, we harp on doing our pre-takeoff checks, so before we take off, we'll get to our spot, do our pre-takeoff checks, and then normal departure, and then we'll set up for a normal approach.
Yeah, we've been talking about how people have been coming from around the country to fly with us, and now you've seen it where like 3/4 of them say speed of a brisk walk, and they're going like 15 knots across the ground, right?
Yeah,
so
we're moving.
They're saying the verbiage, but are they really doing what they're saying? And a lot of times they're going way too fast.
Yeah, a lot of times they'll say they're doing a nice brisk walk, and we're already past ETL, and we're scooting across the ground.
And our examiner will call them out on that if they do that. Okay, so we'll clear left and right. Runway looks clear. I heard somebody on the radio a little bit ago, but I didn't catch what he said. Did you catch it?
I think he was over crossing the field and using 2.7.
Okay, and we're gonna win, let's see, so we could probably just, I'll depart to the north. What do you think? You good with that?
Yes, sir.
We'll depart from the north, or depart to the north and do right traffic unless we hear some other traffic that conflicts with that. Would you give us just a tad bit of carb heat? Yep. As we're right on the edge there. All right, we'll check the runway again.
Clear left.
All right, so clear on the left.
Tail's clear left.
I'll point to the north.
And one thing that it brought up, just like you did a good job there, just clearing your tail. I've seen a couple videos here recently on Facebook of pilots 1,000 hours sticking their tail rotors into trees and flipping things, and people are not doing their tail clearing turns.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, warning caution lights are out. Gauge is in the green. We're out of the yellow. Our timer's running. We got a little over an hour of fuel, just enough to get our flight in and have our 20-minute reserve. So it's going to start with a nice smooth takeoff. Nice and slow. So this will be your second flight review, right? Or have you done more than one? I know I had you do
second or third, so this may be my third.
Nice. Okay, so you want me to go around and do a normal approach, right?
Yep. I don't know how it looks on your end, but my end there is a separation between the needle and the car yellow, so we're out of the yellow.
All right, looks good. All right, there's our 300 AGL, so we're clear right and left. So, refresh my memory, Hunter.
Are you planning the right downwind for 27?
Okay, they're doing 27.
Coldwater traffic, step back for 83 is left to be 25, making a short approach, Coldwater.
You know what? We'll go to the taxiway, 27. What do you think?
Yep.
So we're not interfering with his pattern. Does that sound good?
Yep. Did he say he's on the right downwind for 27?
I think he said right.
So he'd be on this side of the runway.
Warsaw traffic, Grumman 9961 uniform, overflying the field gun after the left downwind for 27, Warsaw traffic.
Okay.
Warsaw traffic, helicopter November 1, Mike Bravo is on a right downwind, landing on the taxiway, parallel 27, Warsaw.
Warsaw traffic, 0651 X-ray Charlie, we're taxiing to 27, Warsaw.
So I got him on site, he's coming down the taxiway.
All right, we'll keep an eye on him, and if I need to, I'll just go to the grass. I'll shoot for the first intersection, and if we have to divert, I'll just go to the grass, parallel the spot that would be intersection.
I guess we'll just go to the north end. Or I guess the grass. Yeah, you said the grass. So I got him there about Alpha, probably, I think that's Alpha 2.
Yep. All right, I'll just go to the grass.
No warning lights, all the gauges are in the green. We're good on fuel. Car Pete's out of the yellow.
All right, so not my best setup of all time. I'm a little high, but I can clean it up in time. So I want 300 AGL, I want at least 60, 0 rate of descent, and then trim.
Warsaw traffic, Grumman 9961 uniform, left downwind 27, Warsaw.
Warsaw traffic, helicopter 1 Mike Bravo's on final. We're going to land in the grass north of the taxiway, Warsaw.
Nice stable control, so doing a good job there.
Warsaw traffic, Grumman 9961 uniform, left base 27, Warsaw.
This feels good. And so what we did here, if you can't see it in the camera, we got an airplane on the taxiway, an airplane landing on the runway. So we just moved over to the grass instead of going around. I want to get some good maneuvers in, so we're just going to a grass area. That way we're staying well clear of the fixed wing guys. They can do what they want with the taxiway and runway, and we'll just go over here to the grass, and that way everybody's getting what they want. Straighten the nose out a little bit as we come down through 50 feet or so.
Warsaw traffic, Grumman 9961 uniform, final 27, Warsaw.
All right. I like that okay for last minute having to change things up a little bit.
Yep, and being flexible.
All right, so I think I'll do a set down for practice.
Yep.
So looking outside, we'll go nice and slow. We're in the grass, so we'll just kind of be kind of careful, not get too rushed. We could always pick back up if it felt unlevel, but it looks pretty good. And then we're down the grass, collective all the way now. All right, so there's our normal takeoff and landing. I'm gonna pick it up. Two-step process, taking my time. Got a little rain, doesn't feel too mucky, but still be careful.
Yep, no reason to be in a rush.
Just kind of tall grass, so we'd want to be careful of that. I don't think it would reach the exhaust, but something to be thinking about. Tail clear right, I'll do a left 360. So we got that guy landing.
Got the guy holding short.
Got him ready to take off, so as long as we just stay parallel, stay north, then we're not interfering with them at all. All right, what's next?
So I guess we can go around and if you want to do a steep approach.
Okay.
And then we'll work into our quick stops, or then we'll do our short, shallow approach with run on landing, and then quick stops and then autos.
Okay. So warning caution lights are out, gauge is in the green, we're out of the yellow, timer's running. About 17 minutes into our 1 hour flight review. And here we go, nice and slow. Yeah, it's amazing lately how much as social media, becomes more and more prevalent every week, every month, every year, the more stuff that I see of pilots doing that they shouldn't be doing, it's unreal, and it bothers me because it gives those people
Warsaw
that...
traffic, Grumman 9961, uniform clear runway 27, taxi SBO, Warsaw.
It gives people the wrong impression of what helicopters should do, and then what a lot of these hot dogs
traffic,
go out and do.
Grumman, that was in the pattern where you at?
And one of the other things that I've been seeing here too, just because the helicopter is capable of doing it, we should do it.
SBO.
What was that?
I said one of the things I've been seeing here recently where like, yeah, these helicopters have the performance and they're capable of doing these maneuvers, but pilots shouldn't be doing these maneuvers and putting themselves in dangerous situations.
Exactly. A lot of crazy stuff happening. All right, I think I'll just fix the taxiway again, just so that in case anybody else comes in, we're not in their way.
Yep, and just to refresh some people's memory, typical helicopter traffic patterns, 500 feet AGL, we're within about a half a mile of the runway, because airplanes are usually flying a mile out, 1,000 feet. So for a helicopter, we're looking for about a half a mile off the runway, 500 feet AGL.
Warsaw traffic, 0651 X-ray Charlie, will be departing runway 27, Warsaw.
Warsaw traffic helicopter 1 Mike Bravo's on a right downwind, landing the taxiway parallel 27, Warsaw. Oh my gosh, feels good to be out on a warm day, one of the doors off.
Did you see the Grumman or know where they went by chance?
Is he talking to us?
Yeah, did you see where it
They
went?
went to the FBO.
Yeah, we believe he went to the FBO.
All right, must have been heads down, thanks.
Yep, I saw him there go back on taxiway Bravo to the FBO.
You know, as simple as a flight review is, I'm excited about getting a fresh flight review in my logbook.
It's exciting, and then it starts at 24 calendar months over again. And
Yep. With my fresh medical certificate that's technically in the mail, but I'm flying with you today anyway, so what makes a difference? By maybe Monday or two, I'll have that medical in hand.
Doing our pre-landing checks, no warning lights, all the gauges in the green. We're good on fuel, car beats out the yellow. We will be clear below.
I was high again, dang it. It's all right, I can fix that.
Yep, we got plenty of time.
Warsaw traffic helicopter 1 Mike Bravo, final for the taxiway, parallel 27, Warsaw.
Yeah, so for this one, we're looking for a steep approach, which is between 12 and 15 degrees in a helicopter. For me, I use just right above the dash, and then just kind of refreshing our memories. When we're looking at our spot, we should be approaching at a nice brisk walk. Shouldn't look like the spot's moving up or down in the windscreen. We're using our cyclic to control our rate of closure and our collective to control the angle.
What do you think? Call this a steep?
Yep. Super nice to control, which I like.
It's such a nice helicopter.
It is.
You know, I posted one day about it's one of the nicest aircraft that I could think of, that as far as all the way around comfort, cleanliness, everything. People go, well, you mean it's nicer than a 145? And I'm like, that's not what I mean, right? Like, I flew an EC-135 for 135. I've flown the BK, but I'm talking just like an everyday, something that an everyday person's going to have an opportunity to fly between Robinson, Enstrom, Schweitzer. And if anything I've operated, this has been, I don't know, it just, everything about it is friendly the way it starts. Doesn't break a lot. We do a good job maintaining it. It's just a fun helicopter. Fun and friendly. Basic VFR, doesn't have a bunch of fancy gadgets, but we don't need fancy gadgets. All right, I'll do another set down just for practice. So looking outside, get my nose straight, looking for the cushion. Coming down, coming down, coming down. Right there's our cushion, so a little bit more down and right onto the ground.
Nice.
I like it.
Very nice.
All right, I'll pick us back up. Looking out the side, 50 to 75 feet. Slowly raising collective. I glance in and out at manifold pressure so I know about when it's going to come up off the ground. But I just keep coming up nice and slow. Now there I'm getting a little movement, so I'm just going to kind of pause. I want to stop that movement as I add a little more up collective. Catching the nose left and right, up and down. Feels pretty good there, so step number 2. Gently lift it up.
Smooth.
I like it.
Very nice.
And let's see, I'll do a right pedal turn, tail clear left, since we got that terminal sign over there. And I'll go ahead and take us all the way around. I don't hear or see any other traffic right now, so next you wanted what? Shallow approach and running landing?
Yep, we'll do a shallow approach with a run-on landing, which I've experienced with you before, and you are actually very, I mean, obviously everything, but you're very good at those.
I'm pretty careful though, those at this point. I remember back in the day, in the beginning, when I wasn't, but. All right, warning caution lights are out, gauge is green. Out of the yellow, 23 minutes into our flight. So while I'm going around and setting up, trying to think of a good question for a new CFI, for anybody getting into this. What would you tell somebody now that you're 300 hours and several months into it, now that you're doing it? How's it feel?
I enjoy it. I think we've talked about before, maybe in another video, where if you'd asked me a year ago when I was just getting completed with my commercial, I didn't think it was for me, but now then we've talked about in other times where now for the rest of my flying career, I want to stay in the teaching environment. I think it helps you hone your skills and you stay on top of what you need to do rather than just building hours and being ready for real world situations. But I think getting your CFI, not saying it's bad if you don't get it, but I think it makes you an all-around better pilot. If you can teach it and explain it to a student, I think that just helps you have a better understanding of why things work the way they work, or why we fly the way we fly, or whatever. But I would highly encourage students out there that maybe are just starting their training and looking to make this a career, looking at getting in on the CFI side, or a guy that's getting ready to get his commercial, look at going the CFI route. It can't hurt you anyway.
Yep, and you're absolutely right. I flew EMS for 5 years, but I stayed active as an instructor during those 5 years. And what's interesting is I flew with mainly military pilots, and nothing against military pilots at all. We respect their time that they've done for us, and that's a major accomplishment, you know, flying as a military guy. I think that's incredible. But most of them weren't CFIs. So because all they do is just fly EMS, when it would come time for like our 135 check ride, I remember the base manager going, "Oh man, I'm terrified of having to do an auto." And I'm like, "What are you terrified about?"
Right.
He's like, "Well, I only get to do them once a year, right?" And it made me realize that when you're not in the teaching environment, it's easy for your skills to, when you just fly missions every day and you don't get to do autos and quick stops, and it's easy for a person to get a little stale or a little stagnant. And also helps keep your ground knowledge. Like a lot of times they would do 2 of us when they come in to do, you know, a yearly 135 check ride, and they got to do an oral. So they'd bring like 2 guys in on their day off, and usually if the other guy couldn't answer a question, they'd look at me and I could answer it. Only because I was an active instructor on my days off, keeping that knowledge fresh, it was harder for somebody who's not instructing. I mean, there are pilots, of course, that do remedial training and study on their own, but it's a fact that once the guys get into the commercial environment, especially EMS, they want to sit and watch TV and take naps and goof off, and they wait until the day before their 135 check ride to open a book. And I know that from having a good friend. Let me make this a little tighter here. A good friend who was a check airman for quite a while, and he said, "I should probably shut down half the bases I go to over pilot knowledge." But of course, you know, how good did that go over when you're shutting down half the
Right.
bases? And another friend of mine who ran law enforcement agency said his pilots never want to study either. Right? They just want to go fly patrol and then go take a break. Nobody ever opens a book.
No, but I think you need to get in the book, whether it's just maybe once a quarter. I mean, that would be 8 times in between 2 flight reviews. If you get in there once a quarter and hit your emergency procedures and staying on top of all the stuff on the training side, it can't hurt.
Yep. Well, and you were with me when we saw Jerry Ventrella a month or so ago. And for those that you don't know, so those of you that don't know, Jerry Ventrella is a 50-year examiner. He's been doing check rides for 50 years. Super individual and well respected in the industry. And we got to see Jerry at a pilot meeting, and I said, "Hey Jerry, what's a piece of wisdom that, with your 50 years of doing check rides, that you would give for any pilot, new pilot, older pilot, you know, what's your number one thing you would tell people?" And he said, "Well, there's about 6 of them, but if I had to pick one," he said, "I would highly recommend people do remedial training. Don't just get your license and then just go fly and, you know, go to webinars, seminars, read, refresh, anything you could do, take online courses, do whatever, because pilots get stagnant and their knowledge gets behind." He said that's the number one reason people get hurt and killed is lack of knowledge over time. So right along with what you said, it fits right into a guy from been given check rides since Vietnam.
You're right. I think we talked about, I think he said that he did over between 2,200 and 2,300 check rides. I mean, that's a lot of check rides.
Yeah. I was glad you got to meet him.
Yeah, I greatly appreciate that opportunity.
You got to meet a legend.
Wealth of knowledge.
All right. That was kind of more of a normal than it was a shallow, I think, but we're going to still use it. And yeah, so I'm going to do my little, because I pay for the skid shoes, I'm not going to go do this at ETL. I'm going to do it a little bit slower because I can. And again, I'm the guy that has to pay for the skid shoes when they wear down. So we're going to do this nice and slow, just easing it down very slowly. Working on keeping that nose straight. And to a stop. Collective all the way down.
One, very impressive. Second, that may be the shortest shallow approach. So, I mean, like you're talking about, it doesn't have to be 200-300 yards.
Correct.
I mean, if you got stuck pedals and you just need to get the thing on the ground and you need to run it on, that's a different thing. But
yep.
It doesn't have to be super long.
Yep. And I'm glad you brought that up because I got that again. I tell the story all the time. I got that from Jerry Ventrella. I'm thinking through my process here as I pick up. And to give you an example, like we're over the taxiway right now. I'm with Jerry Ventrella on my private, And he says, I want you to do a running landing. And he goes, but I want you to do it across the runway. And I said, I can't. And he goes, sure you can. Let me show you. Even though, I don't think he really cares. That was a long time ago. Even though they're not supposed to teach. And he goes, I want to show you something different. So let's say this is a taxiway, not a runway. But he goes, let me show you. So we just came in real super slow like this. And he showed me how you could just come in and go a short little slide like that. And I was like, wow. And when we talked about it, he said, I know who you fly with. And I know he likes to slide like a quarter of a mile down the taxiway or runway. And he said, you might need that. But depending on the situation, like you said, you might not need a slide that's a quarter of a mile long. Tell clear left.
Yep.
So I got that during my private pilot check ride with Jerry Ventrella showed me that. And so I've been using it ever since. Okay, now what you want, CFI?
We'll do, see if we can get a couple quick stops in, and then we'll go around and set up our straight-in auto.
Okay.
So no warning lights, all the gauges are in the green. We're good on fuel. Car BTL, timer's going. We're clear forward and above.
All right, here we go. Oh, it's a fun flight. That's a fun day. And hey, do us a favor, put a comment down below the video. We don't ask for that often, but leave us a comment. All right, here we go. In 1, 2, 3, quick stop. Down collective, right pedal, aft cyclic. Put a nice flare in. Keep flaring, keep flaring, keep flaring, keep flaring, keep flaring. I wait till the speed's almost gone, and then I start to level. And then I raise collective. And we'll get on the go and do another one. Warning caution lights are still off. Gauges look good. Everything was looking good. And this reminds me of when I was training a long time ago, and my instructor was from Germany, and he had a cool German accent. And I remember during the flare, him going, flare, 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 flare. The way he said it was just still burned into my mind. 1, 2, 3, quick stop. Down collective, right pedal, half cyclic. As Eddie would say, flare, 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 flare. Keep flaring, keep flaring, keep flaring.
Yep, and as we start to settle, we reverse everything. So we raise collective, forward cyclic, left pedal. And obviously I was taught by you, and then Hauser, which you taught Hauser, then he taught me. So I've been taught by both of you. I like that once we start to flare, we keep moving a little forward momentum, and then once it starts to settle, we come out to normal hover. I've flown with a couple students here recently, and I've had one instructor show me where they want you to come to a quick stop, like a 30, 40 feet out of ground effect hover, and then coming down. So I would prefer like what you just did. We keep the forward momentum and then come into normal hover.
Yep, because I'm thinking about the flare in my auto. Absolutely, yep. Absolutely. All right, warning caution lights are out. Gauges in the green. We'll get on the go.
Left, forward, and above.
And I'll turn and take this little taxiway right here. That's kind of more into the wind. All right, so now you want a straight in auto, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so give me your spiel, man. Give me your spiel on how should I effectively perform this straight in auto.
And
what would you tell me if I was brand new and you were introducing this to me?
So as anything that we do in the helicopter, nothing needs to be rushed. The key to any maneuver is a good setup. So the key to a good auto is a good setup. So we'll extend our downwind a little bit. We'll be 500 feet AGL, so we're looking around 1350 here at Warsaw, Indiana. We'll extend our downwind when we roll out on final. We want to be 500 feet AGL. We'll want to have our speed, we'll say 70. And then our VSI near 0, but as always, before we get there, we're going to do our pre-landing check. So no warning lights, all the gauges are in the green, we're good on fuel. Car Pete's out of the yellow, timer's running. We will be clear below when we enter it.
25924, Bravo is about 10 miles to the northeast and overfly the field at 2,500, enter a teardrop to left now and at 25, cold water.
Cold water, so that's not us. But the big thing is the key to good auto or to any maneuver is a good setup. So extend your downwind a little bit, give yourself plenty of time to get everything set up. You want your altitude, you want your airspeed, get that VSI near 0, and then once we think that we're at when we're going to enter our spot, it's just nice, gently, we'll count it down. We just lower the collective, so lower, so down, and then a little bit of right pedal. Because if we lower the collective and don't add right pedal, nose is going to come to left. So we lower the collective, right pedal to keep the nose aligned, and then aft cyclic just to get the airspeed back. We'll catch it, and then we're just going to try to stabilize the RPMs and the airspeed, and we should ride it down. When you start monkeying with it, that's when you're going to start chasing your RPMs. So we'll just try to get it set, and then about treetop level, we'll start our gentle flare, baby flare, and we just keep flaring. And then just like you said at the end of a quick stop, once you start to settle, you just reverse everything.
Okay. Warsaw traffic helicopter 1 Mike Bravo, right base turning final, landing taxiway parallel 27 Warsaw.
And obviously, like,
Delta
real.
Delta 5516 Juliet, I'm 10 miles to the east. We'll be doing a practice on
Like in a real engine failure, obviously it's important to get the collective down, to take the pitch out of the blades and get into that auto, but there's no reason we don't need to slam the collective. We're not punching it through the floor, so.
Okay.
Andrews traffic, Archer 226 from Quebec is departing the pattern to the northwest practice area. Last call, Andrews.
Everything's looking good. I know I didn't verbally say it, but I did my pre-landing checks in my head, so everything's still looking good.
All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1, enter.
Very nice.
Haven't raced any collective yet.
Very nice, and that's what I'm using the acronym RAT, so I'm watching my RPM, my airspeed, we're in trim, looking at our spot.
I'm short, but I like the auto.
Very nice,
I'm way
very
short.
control. A bit gentle flare as we start to flare, a little bit more of a flare, roll the RPM, or yep, roll throttle, and then we just reverse everything. Very, very smooth.
Thank you. All right, now what you want me to do?
I guess we can go around and set up for a 180.
Okay. Warning caution lights are out. Gauge is in the green. Doing good on fuel. We're about 30 minutes in, 38 minutes in. All right, well, refresh me with some tips on how to set up the 180.
So 180, obviously, we're gonna just be a little bit closer to the runway. I typically go up to at least 750 feet above the ground. So it's gonna be a little bit higher than your normal straight in auto, because obviously by the time you enter the auto, get your turn and roll out, basically once you roll out, it's a normal straight in auto at that point. We at least want it to be 200 feet above the ground, so it's just the last 200 feet is a straight in auto. So you want to climb up a little bit higher. Same thing as always, the key to 180 auto is a good setup. So on our departure, on our upwind, we want to extend our upwind. I typically like to climb out to what I'm going to be at my altitude and then turn downwind. Do our pre-landing checks before we get to our spot, because once right before we get to our spot and beam our spot, that's when we're going to enter it. So hypothetically speaking, let's say if we're going to come back and use the numbers. As soon as right before the numbers are out, our right side, we'll start our countdown. So when we're at the numbers, we're entering the auto turn, and then things to be mindful of: when you start your turn, your RPMs are going to climb. So just be mindful of that.
Bravo is going to be overflying the field right about now. Left turn into a 45, left now 125, cold water.
That is a busy airport.
Yeah, it is. I like your idea of going up to 750. I normally try to do them at 500, but they're so much harder at 500. That couple hundred extra feet really helps with executing that turn. Warsaw traffic helicopter 1 Mike Bravo, right downwind landing taxiway parallel 27 Warsaw.
So we talked about being closer. We know for a helicopter it's typically a half mile. I'd say we're right around the quarter mile out from the runway, so distance is looking good. No warning lights, all the gauges are in the green. We're good on fuel. Car beats LL, timer's going. When we enter, we will be clear below.
Oh, good, full car beat.
Yep.
One, 2, 3, enter.
Down, right, aft, roll. Doing a good job. The RPMs are looking good, airspeed's looking good. We're in trim, we still got our spot. Everything's still looking good.
I'm about way overshoot. What the heck did I do? That's all right.
Everything's still looking good.
I still like the auto,
Yep.
other than overshooting a little bit. Yeah, I'll take it other than misjudging my spot there.
Very
So-
smooth though.
Yeah, it was smooth. What could I have done to make my spot? What should I have done? I turned too aggressive.
What if we just would have not turned as aggressive, we'd extended it out a little bit and then kind of drug it out a little bit farther than came up. So we didn't, I guess if we maybe shot, not saying we turned aggressive, but maybe we turned too steep and then it just kind of leveled back out and we overshot our spot.
Yep.
But I mean, the RPMs are there, well within your airspeed, so it's not like we were moving faster than normal, so we didn't carry farther.
All right. What do you want to see now? We got 41 minutes in.
Trying to think real quick. Is there anything you want to do?
Let's see. Warning caution lights are out. Gauges in the green. Well, we should probably do a hover auto or two. Oh, and you know what we could do? We could go do my favorite and yours. I'm joking. Slope.
We could do a slope.
Because I feel like I'm having a good day, and we're thinking about actually shooting a slope video after this, right?
Yep.
That's what we're going to do next. So I'm going to go down here to the other end of runway on the north end. I like that. Put one skid on the pavement of the runway, one skid in the grass. Seems to work out real well. And wind's over there, so that'll make it a little challenging with wind off the left. Actually, I'm going to go back around so we can do it into the wind. We're going to go around and I'm going to do it off the runway as long as there's no airplanes coming in.
Marion traffic, Skyhawk 806 Papa left base 33 Marion.
Because you have to have your hover smoothed out for the slopes. If you're struggling to hover, your slope is going to suck. And I was working with another pilot yesterday, CFI, so even though he's the CFI, he hadn't flown in a while, so I was riding along to just help him with his currency, and he was rushing the slope. I mean, like really rushing it.
Marion traffic,
But
Skyhawk 806
he hadn't flown since last fall, so his hover was a little rusty. And I'm like, you really got to do some hovering, freshen up your hovering before you start doing the slope.
Yeah, I think that's one thing people think that they forget to do. I mean, once you got the training environment, you're flying, maybe you've got your commercial rating and you're flying commercial jobs. It's just, I think people forget to just go out and do hover work. We talk about the square pattern all the time. I like to do pirouettes and stuff. It's just definitely honing in on your hover skills.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna go about halfway down the runway, and we're gonna do them right off the edge of the runway. Because you're like me, you hate slopes too, right?
Yep.
I just don't like I said, you really got to be on top of it to do it right. And then when you're teaching somebody new, it's hard for people in the beginning. The slope is very difficult to do until you really got a good hover going and got some confidence. And that's why when I'm teaching somebody, slopes is like one of the last things I do because I don't really want to do it anyway.
You're right.
But I also want them to have as much time under their belt hovering, picking up and set down. I want them to have as much experience as possible before we start trying to set down off the edge of or on a slope. So we're somewhat into the wind. We're gonna do our normal setup, parallel and 45, away, back from the slope, and we'll move into the slope parallel and 45 degrees. And if we can do these good today, we'll go back and set up some cameras so we can get an outside view as well. Have Lindsay help us with that. So the skid's going to be, or the slope is to my left on your side of the aircraft.
Yep.
Here we are, parallel and 45. So I'm going to move in parallel and 45, and I'm going to go about halfway between those taxiway lights. So we're not worried about catching one of those and getting into dynamic rollover. So
You've done good job. You said you talk about approaching at a 45, so.
Nice and slow. Now this don't look like it's a slope, but we'll find out here. All right, feeling pretty good. I'm gonna come down. There's my skid. I'm gonna hold it there. Slowly lower. Push towards the slope. Collective down back to center. Not a big slope, but it's still a slope.
Yep, you can see the ball's kind of favoring that right side. So.
Yep. So reverse, I'm gonna start raising collective. I'm gonna push cyclic towards the slope, looking outside, and do my best to just bring that skid up nice and slow. So I'm raising collective, pushing towards the slope, starting to get light. Here comes the skid, go to neutral, and then straight up. I'll take that.
Very nice.
I rushed it a little bit picking it up, but
very nice.
I'll take it. And we move away parallel and 45. I'm gonna clear the tail right. We're gonna go across the runway and I'll try it over there. With the opposite skid, woo! Are we clear to the left?
Yep, clear left.
This is why I didn't want to do the slope with the wind off my left-hand side. And we were doing that yesterday, and I think that was a struggle too. I'm like, man, you're choosing to do it with the wind off your left-hand side. That's making you super squirrely. Okay, so technically, well, we would start back over here and come in 45 in parallel. Come into our slope. Bring it to a stop. Right, skid's touching. Lower the left. That's still a little bit of a slope. Push back towards the slope. Come back to neutral. Well, that's okay. I'm all right with that. Like I said, I never have liked slopes. I just don't like them.
Nope.
Not my fave. All right, pushing towards the slope. Raising collective. There we go. Left skid up. And then come straight up. Oh, that was better pickup wise.
And then we depart at a 45.
Move away parallel 45. All right, there's 48 minutes. How about, can I suggest we do a couple hover autos?
Yep.
And then, are you gonna, am I passing?
Yep.
Am I gonna make it?
Yep.
All right. Oh my gosh. Is this fun or what?
It's a blast, and it turned out to be a nice day.
Just think of all the headache and heartache you went through and all that money and all the driving and traveling to get where you are now.
It's definitely worth it, and it pays off. I mean, I remember when we learned this, when we go for our CFIs, you hit plateaus and you think, is this really for me, or can I really do this? I'm just,
1,700 inbound runway 31.
like, is this really for me? Stick with it. Just get into the books. Just like dedicate the time. If you're passionate about it, I mean, it will happen. You just got to have the work ethic. You got to be willing to study, make some, whether it's small or major sacrifices, and
yep. Sacrifices for sure. I always say, we spend so much time talking about doing this, and not that much time actually doing it. All right, so what I'll do is just make this kind of a confined area, steep approach, go into the grass out in front of my hangar. And then that way we can do a couple hover autos and go do my hour of ground and sign me off for a flight review.
nice and controlled.
Man, this thing wants to fly.
Yeah,
It doesn't want to come down.
Nope, it's like, keep me up here.
And so, while we're finishing our approach here, if you're still hanging around the video, if you're looking to do a cross-country, day or night, to cover a requirement and to have fun, or just for fun too, but the idea is for people looking for long cross-country, Hunter is willing to go with you, day or night, in R22 or R44, take you from here at Warsaw over to Lansing, Illinois. You can have lunch or supper at a cool little restaurant where we land over there. Go downtown Chicago, see the Chicago skyline, go back to Gary, land there, Towered Airport, do takeoffs and landings that you may need for a requirement, and then back to Warsaw. So that can cover a long cross-country dual for private, commercial, day, night, whatever you need. So get a hold of us at helicopterground.com, and we'll hook you up with Hunter to go on a long cross-country trip. All right, so I want to reposition my hand on the throttle. I'm pointing toward the wind. I know we say 3 to 5 feet, but I cheat them down to about more like a foot or two, just because it's the way I was taught.
Yep.
Look outside, 50 to 75 feet. And we want to make sure as we roll up the throttle, we're adding right pedal simultaneously. And then we want a short pause and then raise the collective. So that's the theory. See if I can do it.
The one thing that you did that I really like that I've started adding where it's just a slight thumb pressure and maybe forward and to the right. The big thing is no aft and to the left.
Yep. When I was new, or I had my private work on my commercial, and this commercial guy I was flying with flew with somebody and they rolled one, and it went backwards and to the left. And that's what it has a tendency wants to do, was to go that way. So I put in a tad bit of forward and to the right when I enter. So here we go in 1, 2, 3, enter. Throttle off right pedal, pause, pull. Ooh, I like that one.
Smooth.
I like that one.
Very nice.
All right. Do another one just to make sure that wasn't a fluke.
There you go.
So also, if you're still hanging around, we've done 22 final approach courses in the last 2 years. And final approach courses where you've got all your training basically done. You got your requirements fulfilled, but you can't get an examiners booked, or their helicopter's down, or your instructor just left. Lots of reasons why people can't seem to get finished. We've got an examiner we've been using for 24 years, and we can get you a date usually within a few weeks and get you finished up. All right, so looking outside, reposition my hand on the throttle. 1, 2, 3, enter. Pause, pull.
Very nice.
Yeah, I like it. All right, 53 minutes. So I guess got to make it an hour. So you know what? Let's just do some good old hovering turns.
So we do one of the square patterns if you want.
We could do a little mini square pattern.
Yep. Because I really like that. I mean, you showed that to me last year
Oh my
when I was
gosh.
working on my CFI. That was smooth.
Yeah, we normally go out in the big field over there, but we'll do it here in front of my hangar, but we're just going to do a small square. So what we do is we do a set down all the way to the ground. And of course, nice and slow, talking through it, and then we'll pick the helicopter back up, and you can start in either a left square or right square, it doesn't really matter. Pick up, clear my tail right, turn left 90 degrees, pick a spot about 10, 20 feet away, wherever it is, go over and stop. Set it down again. And we go all the way around a square, and then we reverse that square and go back around the other way. So each time you're picking up and setting down, you're getting wind off your left or your right or your front or your rear. Even though we choose to, if possible, we like to pick up and set down into the wind. Tail clear right.
That was clear, right?
But we know in the real world, maybe you're going to set down somewhere, and you're going to set down with the wind off your tail, or off a crosswind because you've got to keep an eye on somebody that you're worried about walking over to the aircraft or whatever the case is. So sometimes we, for whatever reason, we don't always sit down into the wind. Now there I'm on a little bit of a slope. I'm going to pick us up. I don't like that. That felt a little bit weird. Tell clear right.
A little bit.
Yeah, how we were.
Yeah.
Because I can see the ground sloping down now. But so anybody watching this gets you the gist. So we would go clear out, we'd go over here, stop, set it down, pick it up, and then we would go to the left, go back to the starting point. So we would stop here, set it down, turn right, and then we go back over here to the starting point and set down again. And then you just turn 180 degrees, tell clear right, and then go back around the square this way. So again, you're hovering with the different winds, picking up and setting down with the different winds. And this is tell clear left.
Tell clear left.
I use this when, after I got this aircraft.
Rochester,
I'd go by myself. Sometimes just like, hey, I want to go fly. And I'd go out in the big field over there. And I would do this for a half an hour. And anybody can use it, whether you're a newbie or you've been flying for a few years like me. It works for anybody. It's just a great way to build your skills and your confidence. And when you show that to a student, tell clear right.
Tell clear right.
You introduce it to them early when they're not very good. And then you do it a couple weeks later, and then they get to see their progress, how their square improves, their pickups and set downs improve. So they get to see over time how everything improves.
And I like it rather than just flying around a fixed object where you're actually coming in, you're sitting down. You're actually having to sit down and fight through the different winds. And obviously, most people want to get helicopter, go do fun stuff. I'm not saying that we stick with the training environment, but when you start doing some off-airport landings, you may not always be able to land right directly into the wind. You may have a little bit of a crosswind, so.
Absolutely. Well, that was a good flight, and I think this will be a good video. Do us a favor and put a comment down below. I don't ask that a lot, but it'd be nice to see some comments down there. And do us a favor and subscribe as well. Lots of fresh content going to be coming now that we have both R22 and R44 here actively flying, and we're actively doing check rides in both. All right, so I'm going to get us down below the governor, reach back with my left hand, lock the collective, reach forward with my left hand, lock the cyclic, then I can guard the cyclic with my legs and reach down and pull out my checklist. So we got collective down 60 to 70, so I'll go back up a little bit to help it cool, because it's a pretty warm day. I have noticed on this thing, the engine's gotten really broken in well now, hasn't it? It's not burning near the oil it did in the beginning. And you you wouldn't really recognize that probably as much, because you start flying with this last fall. But this thing's not burning the oil it did in the beginning.
No, and I feel like it's not burning oil like some of the other R44s that I've flown.
We're at 392 hours since overhaul. When you first get them back, you feel like, oh my God, is this thing okay? I'm putting a cord in like every hour. But as the rings get broken, the engine gets broken, that oil consumption slows way down. And then we had engine work done on this last year. Do you remember that? Was you around? We had to have the 2 cylinders pulled.
I was not.
You weren't around hanging around with us yet.
I do remember from the video, the engine having to get pulled and be sent, be inspected due to the overspeed. But
yeah, the overspeed. Engine had to come out for the overspeed. We have a video on that, by the way, where I'm very transparent about how I made a big mistake and how that cost us 3 months of downtime, and after insurance cost me like $25,000. Not fun, but I learned a valuable lesson. Never trust the guy beside you.
Yes. I'm glad I learned that at a very early stage in my career.
Well, we got our hour in. And then, of course, we're going to go fly again, so we can always do more, but we can officially say.
Got a flight review in.
Got my flight review in. Perfect.
Good for 24 months. You got your medical. It's a good day.
Yeah, might get my friggin' medical today. Interesting process, because I showed you that one page, right? So there's like 5 stages, and in the beginning it sits for months and months and months. and nothing happens. And then once this thing starts changing colors and starts moving across, then you're kind of like, oh, something's going on, you know? It goes to review. And then yesterday, I didn't even think I'd see anything, but Heather goes, check your FAA site. And I looked in and I noticed it. It changed while we were in there. We were looking, I'm like, still in review. But like, hey, they uploaded my letter I just sent them. And I was excited about that. And then all of a sudden the page changed. And I had to refresh, and it was like, boom, final review. And it was like, oh my God, we're in final review. So we start Googling, what's it mean? How long is it going to take? And it said, they said normally 2 days. And the internet says, 2 days, expect 2 weeks. For me, it was 1 day. I got up today, did my normal morning routine, had my coffee, and I thought, I'm going to look just for the hell of it. And there it was, green, big check mark, certification decision.
That's pretty exciting.
Like I said, we'll do a video on that. Go a little more detail into it. Hopefully I can save some other people some aggravation. All right, that's way down there. We'll go throttle closed. Disengage the clutch. Now, we're just gonna wait 30 seconds. Yep.
I got it on my watch.
And this will be a good video for Lindsay to edit. We didn't really see anything bad. Nothing stupid happened that we don't want the public to see.
Right?
It was a pretty good flight. It's a decent conversation. Do us a favor. Give us a comment down below. We'll see you in the next video. Peace out.
When you feel the pressure to fly, but know the right decision is to stay on the ground, hit the hogs, no-go, and live to fly another day. Helicopterground.com